Today, we are where Wanton Mee first started, in Guangzhou, China. And we will be experiencing some of the most authentic versions of the dish. For the first time in this series, we will be having different kinds of wontons. I think we're gonna have a crab bowl wonton, meat wonton, shrimps wontons, and obviously I expect the quality of the noodles to be up there as well. Welcome to the finale of the Overseas Arc. Let's get it, guys. We are now at 常平竹升云吞面, and already we have so many different kinds of 面. We have the 虾子 one like in Hong Kong. We have 炸酱, we have 葱油, 蚝油, 猪油. This is what I'm talking about. Not only do we have different kinds of 面, we have different kinds of 云吞. We got 黑虎虾, which is the tiger prawns we also saw in Hong Kong. We got normal 虾, we got meat, we got century egg, and we have corn and water chestnut. This is what I'm talking about. I feel so validated. I believe it was in the episode 4, I said something like Lao Mian is very open-ended and wonton can be more than just, minced meat. I'm very curious to see how this plays out. Smells very, very tomato-y. Like 90% sure there's some sort of ketchup here. But I'm so excited. There's different kinds of wonton. I have the normal prawn meat wonton on my noodles. I also got the pitan one and I also got the corn one. So let's see how this plays out. Shout out Pontian. I always thought the ketchup style came from Pontian, but it seems the roots go deeper. I don't know how many of you enjoy this ketchup style, but imagine it's sweet and sour pork, that sauce, on the noodles. I'm indifferent to it. I do have to talk about the texture of the noodles and 竹升面. This time, it doesn't have any of that alkaline taste, but it's still pretty strong. Earlier, I briefly talked about the strength of the noodles and hydration. If you add less water to the noodles, it will be tougher. So in the case of Wanton Mee, the hydration is very low. What that means is that the dough that you'll be working with ends up being very tough. If you have ever made like normal noodles or pasta before, you know that a common technique is to step on the noodles using your body weight. But if you lower the hydration even more, not even stepping on it will need it enough. So our ancestors realized that we can simply use bamboo poles, which is very well known for their strength and elasticity. They use bamboos for scaffolding all over Hong Kong. So they figured that they can just use the pole and then bounce on the pole to knead the noodles. 它是竹升面. And what this results in is a very strong tiak-tiak noodles without the taste of alkaline. So I guess by min-maxing on the hydration, they can back off the alkaline a bit and still achieve a certain noodle strength. I think this is a really good balance between what we have had so far. And then on to the main point, the yuntun. I can't tell you how happy I am to finally have different yuntuns. It's like receiving different presents. I especially like the pitan one because I'm a pitan lover. Like adding that little bit of creaminess to yuntun, I think works really well. I didn't believe in the corn and water chestnut one. I thought it was literally corn and water chestnut, but it's just that they added a little bit along with the usual minced meat to create a difference in texture. That said, in terms of impact factor, pretty average. I think the noodles are a tad overcooked, or that I have let them sit too long. So when they stack on top of one another, they start to stick. I like the idea of having the different flavors of yuntun, but in this instance, it's pretty average. Just imagine putting the ingredients together in your mind, and it will taste just like this. And the soup is pretty typical too. A quick, savory and peppery soup, which is nothing wrong with that. I just want to manage expectations a little bit. Also, I went with the wild card, the 广式炸酱云吞, just because I want to see how it's like. I think I would have enjoyed myself way better with 葱油 or 猪油. Alright, promising. Let's move on to the next stop. I don't want to repeat what I said last episode, but that toy will make me crash out. Seriously, will make me crash out. I'm from Singapore. I grew up with the 这边有人做吗? But there's a line. You need to give people enough space to eat. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Why are we squeezing everybody just 5 people into one table? What's your waiting time? Is there a waiting time? Why must we squeeze 3 groups of strangers to eat shoulder to shoulder, and all of them have to like speak under their voice a little bit so as to not disturb the others? And on top of that, I got tat toy with 2 other young couples. You cannot make this up. Whose idea it is to tat toy? Tinder? I don't want to speak too much because I'm not from around here, but locals, Hong Kong people, you're okay with this? Personally, I hate it. I hate that they have one of the best Wanton Mees that we have had so far. Perfect noodles. So far in this series, we have explored, egginess and hydration and how much alkaline to use, whether we wash away the starch or not, how well cooked are the noodles. These noodles are perfect. You can see how individual it is, how well it sits on the Rigo test. It has the tiak 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 and it does not have the bite of the alkaline. We have seen so many pitfalls throughout the series, but this one is just on the money. And then it's flavored with a simple Jiang Chong Yu, which is a ginger scallion oil. I like that they cut the scallions and ginger into thin slices so that you don't get such a strong bite of the aromatics. To each their own, but Jiang Chong Yu is usually a slam dunk. The Yun Tun is that standard, a standard that I somehow have gotten used to after being in Guangzhou and Hong Kong. You got a whole prawn cut into half, very good snap, very well seasoned, nice flaps on the Yun Tun, and then for the first time ever, you get a proper char siu in a Yun Tun mian place. The first time in Hong Kong and Guangzhou. So maybe the whole thing I said about Gangshi Wanton Mee is not valid. Although we are not in Hong Kong anymore. The char siu is not the burnt kind that we are used to. This is, I think, a lower temperature roast. You can see how even the surface is, less of the burnt parts, and more importantly, it is very tender. Video speaks for itself. And as a bonus, this is the first time I've ever seen it. There's such a thick smoke ring around the meat. I forgot why this ring appears already. Editor, if you can help me out. What the hell? You cannot just throw to the editor like that. I don't get paid enough for this. Anyway. Smoke rings are formed when the nitrogen dioxide from burning wood dissolves on the meat, forming nitric oxide. This nitric oxide then binds with the myoglobin in the meat, stabilizing the pink color even as it cooks. This should not be misunderstood as an indicator of quality, but rather evidence that it has been cooked at a lower temperature. Because if it reaches a higher temperature, the myoglobin breaks down and the inside will turn grey like a well done steak. But now here's the interesting part. Does this mean that this char siu was smoked low and slow? The even exterior and tenderness seem to suggest so? Or is this simply the food coloring seeping into the meat? In which case this must have been an overnight marination for it to penetrate this deep. Sorry, are you waiting for your answer? How do I know? I'm just a video editor. The more important thing is that, boys, we have our first Wanton Mee with all 3. No other misses other than it's a little salty, but apparently not more salty than me. Seriously, what is tat toy? What is... We are now at恩宁刘福记at Dongshankou. And before we get to the Wanton Mee, this right here, this is the best Ningmeng cha ever. Alright, we got ourselves some 猪油面. I feel like late in the series now, I'm just more comfortable ordering what I want. And then I'm going to go in with some light soy sauce and some red vinegar and a touch of chili oil. Fuck it, wee ball. Different flour, I think. This color is like Thai noodles. So, it says on the menu 全担面 though. Let's give this a go. Their texture games goes crazy. The noodles are not incredibly thick, but you can very well feel each strand. It feels like you're playing the tin. The flavor is something that I'm comfortable with. Lard, chili oil, light soy sauce, red vinegar. Although coming from where I come from, why not throw in a few pieces of 猪油炸? The wonton is where it's at. This texture is crazy. There are 3 ingredients in this wonton. Obviously the prawn, the work minced meat, and the crab roll. So you start with the snap of the prawn, you have the bounce of well-worked myosin, and then you end off with the pops of the crab roll. Not to mention the flaps of the wrapper that follows. Taste-wise, it all tastes like its respective ingredients, but the textures, Jesus, how fun. But I have a bias. A bias that I have to sit on for a little while. So let's wrap it up here, and I'll see you guys at the cafe. We are now at Bombo Cafe, just down the street, and I got myself a 美式. Anyway, recap. It's not good for a food reviewer to be biased and hypocritical, but that wouldn't be human. Earlier on in the series, we said that there is no char siu in Wanton Mee. Fair, straightforward, but now that we have great noodles and wonton on the table, having Stella char siu really caps the experience off. I seem to recall we had the same conversation back in the Best Ramen series, something to the tune of the noodles is the base of the dish, the toppings are the support, in this case is the wontons, and then the char siu is the final stroke. The char siu doesn't work if the first two aren't good. But now that we are in the land where they are just nailing the noodles and the yuntun, right? It's hard to find char siu. Is this bias? For sure. You could even say that maybe I don't love yuntun mian. Today I also noticed something peculiar that I didn't like. The settle. When you have cooked noodles coming off scalding hot from the basin, and you don't add a little bit of soup, a little bit of sauce, a little bit of oil to lubricate it, you let them just stack on each other. By the time it reaches the diner, it becomes a little harder to shake out. The noodles stick to each other, it becomes a little overcooked, and it's a little difficult to undo that. I am a big fan of having the noodles come a little mixed so that I don't have to do too much. I don't have to do too much is actually a pretty important criteria because it also applies to adding the condiments. I like variety in wontons. I cannot begin to tell you how good it feels to be validated like that, to have the place of origin selling a variety of wontons. When 2 episodes ago I said wontons can have 12 orthodox ingredients and many more unorthodox ones. I will say, however, that the yuntuns today were smaller than the ones in Hong Kong, a little off my ideal size. I think Hong Kong really nailed the plumpness of the wontons into the snap of the prawns. And in Guangzhou, I have been reading their menus. They prioritize a seafood umami broth to go with the wontons. I'm not sure if that's the correct translation for 鲜甜上汤, but I don't see it. The soup just tastes like slightly higher quality basic soup. Also really importantly today, I learned that you can establish good noodle strength with little to no use of alkaline. All of the noodles today didn't have any key taste. In that aspect, I think that the places we visited in Hong Kong is a little bit drunk on it. Sure, the tiak tiak is nice, but you don't have to go to the extreme ends to get it, or even go beyond tiak tiak. I'm really glad I came here. I'm really glad I came to Guangzhou. I think it showed me a side of Wanton Mee that I wouldn't have gotten anywhere else. 1 plate I'll walk for the Wanton Mee, 2 plates I'll take a bus for the Wanton Mee, and 3 plates I'll go anywhere in Guangzhou for the Wanton Mee. And today's Wanton Mees get 132. That's it. That's it for the overseas arc. It's been so long, and I miss Singapore so much. I'm not sure if you all can tell, but I'm falling sick. But this has been something that I've been wanting to do for very long. Not just this series, but grand ideas of going to multiple countries to have the same version of a dish. I'm not sure if there's any other dish that is celebrated in so many countries. And next, all of the Wanton Mees that you all have been commenting again and again and again, we're going back to them. But for now, that's all I have for you guys this time. I'll see you all next week in Singapore. Bye!